Today we're going to talk about the biggest RV mistakes that people make out there. Most of these issues are just completely overlooked or, just not thought of what's going on. And then it's at the end of the day, you see what's going on. So let's get started. The one big one, and people just don't even think about it, is they leave the outside lights on at night. The issue with this is it's not it's using battery or anything like that because it's a low, most of these are running LEDs now. It's the fact that it's blinding your neighbors while they're trying to sleep, because a lot of times your front porch of your area where you have your light is someone else's backside of their RV, and they're sleeping where their head's at in the bed. A lot of times that's right by the window. So your light is shining right into their bedrooms. So it's just a courtesy thing to shut your outside lights off at nighttime. I know it's overlooked a lot because you don't really see it when you're getting ready to go to sleep because it's shooting out. So that's just one of the courtesy things to do. Another thing is to make sure your storage is locked up at all times. Now, what I generally do is I always make it a pattern of when I unlock the storage with the key and open it up, I always leave the key in and lock it right back up. That way, it's a pattern. I open it up, and then I can shut it, lock it right away. If I do need to use the latch to hold it open, then I do take the key out, but I make sure that I lock it up every single time. So just make a pattern of locking up your storage when you're done using it every time. Your gray tank, leaving it open. So you got your black tank valve and your gray tank valve. And you should almost always, I want to say almost always, leave your gray tank shut. So if you're boondocking somewhere, of course, you're leaving both of those tanks shut. But if you come to an RV park where you got sewer hookup right there, the general rule is if you're staying, like, let's say you're staying 3 nights, uh, open up your gray tank and let it flow because you're going to be taking showers, you're going to do all this stuff with the gray tank, and you don't want that gray tank to be, loading up. But I generally say on the last day, so the last 24 hours of when you're at a site, shut the gray tank. That way your gray tank can start filling up for that last day, and then the last day you can then pull your black tank. I always shake the hose of the black tank. That way it runs as much of that stuff out as it can. And then shut the valve on the black tank, pull the gray tank. And again, I always shake the hose while the gray tank is running through it. That way the gray tank will get all those little cracks and you're just kind of agitating it all down. That way you don't have a nasty sewer hose when you're putting it away. So true, the gray tank will help flush your tube, but shaking that hose around while the gray tank's running is going to flow it all out. So leave your gray tank shut unless you're camping at a campground that has, you know, sewer on site. Then leave the gray tank open till the last day. 24 hours of gray tank filling. So the leave it locked up rule. So there is a little bit of a gray area on this too. Generally, if you're at a crowded campsite with tons and tons of people, uh, the gray area is you can leave your seats, your seating areas and things like that out, your water tank, things like that. Things that are low cost, you can leave it all out. Anything that's a high cost, like your propane grill and things like that, you want to lock up still or have it on a chain, a cable of some sort. Now, I generally, if I'm at a campground where there's not many people, it's kind of sparse, um, because you give people more of an opportunity. There's more of an opportunity for things to be stolen when nobody's looking, at your campground all the time. So in those cases, either you can lock it up or take your chairs and throw them underneath your RV. That way, it's not an open door. Somebody sees the stuff up there, they look around, and they see nobody's around, and then they steal your stuff. So the general rule is make it hard for them to take anything. Just like when I chain my bikes up, I got a cable that's I want to say it's 10 feet long. So when it loops back around, the cable can tie all four bikes up at once. So I don't have to have four different locks for all the bicycles when I'm on camping. I can just have one cable, one lock. It locks all four of them together. And the reason why, true, you can have 3 or 4 people come up there and grab all four of your bikes and pull them into a truck or something. But chances are of that happening is so low. Your goal is to make it hard for people to steal things, and their chances are it's going to be one person, 2 people if they're going to steal something. And when there's 4 bikes locked together, there's no way they can pick up all 4 of these and drag them and then lift it up to put it in a truck. It just makes it too hard. So, like I said, make it hard for people to steal. And another thing is put camera signs everywhere, because I don't want to say that RVing is unsecure out there, not safe, but if you have a camera, put a sign that says you have a camera. It says smile, you're on TV, smile, you're on camera. Because if people don't see the camera, then what's the point of it? So next to your door, put a sign, nice bright yellow reflective. Next to your, if you have external battery, put it next to there. Just put these signs up that say, hey, you're on camera. That way you won't even have to worry about the camera, having to go back to look at the feed for somebody stealing something. When they can see the sticker, they can look up, see the camera, then they go, oh, and then they leave. So it's a good deterrent. Another thing is don't close your door of your RV using the screen. So the screen, of course, it hooks into your outside door, and you can have a nice handle on there. And it's really tempting to grab that handle when it's attached to the door and pull your door shut using the screen, the nice T handle. And it's going to wear out the little catch. And I'm going to show you why. That little catch is just going to start wearing out, and it's going to break on you. Your door is going to have a big hole in the front of it. So use the actual latch on the door to shut your door and not the screen door. So another issue is you have this railing when you're coming in your RV, and it's attached to the top, it's attached to the bottom. It's a little rail. A lot of RVs have these, and they're just there to help you get in and out of the RV. The problem is, I see, and most adults don't do this, but kids do it. They'll grab that arm, that rail, and they'll swing it out or swing it this way, and they kind of, even littler kids, they kind of swing on it. So what this does is it has, 3 little screws that are inside of a piece of wood, and 3 on the bottom. This wood is only that wide and that deep. So it's a little tiny thin strip of wood that entire door handle or rail is hooked to. So when it's being swung back and forth, it's wearing out. It's going to wear out where it's grabbing into the wood, where it's biting into it. So generally, just you got kids, make sure they don't swing on that thing. And another thing is, when you're using it, pull straight down on the door thing, and don't pull sideways on it. So you're pulling in yourself in the RV. Try not to pull in towards it. Use it as it's designed, pulling straight down, because it'll start wearing out and start making holes again in that wood. And then you'll have another problem with the RV. That pretty much sums everything up for this episode. And if you like what we're doing here, please subscribe, because you all make it happen. And we'll see you next episode.